International Holocaust Memorial Day was designated by United Nations General Assembly resolution on the 1st of November 2005. The date has significance. On the 27th of January 1945, the largest Nazi concentration and death camp, Auschwitz-Birkenau, was liberated by the Red Army. Now the day is marked in remembrance, remembering the 6 million Jewish people, 2 million Romani people, 250,000 mentally and physically disabled people, and 9,000 homosexual men killed by the Nazi regime. A dark time in our relative recent history. At midday, staff at the convent and at number 6 Convent Place, including the governor and the chief minister, observed a 1-minute silence outside their department buildings. Gibraltar stood still to remember and pay respect.
I think it's absolutely essential that we commemorate the Holocaust as we've done today. And the reason I say that, I think that the Holocaust teaches us that the irrefutable reality is that if we want to prevent man's inhumanity to man, we have to pay the price of eternal vigilance and sacrifice. And this morning just reminded us and allowed us to focus on that.
Well, I think the most important thing is to remember the events of the 1940s, to remember the loss of life. It's only in that way that we will ensure that future generations learn from history and that humanity will never make the same mistake again.
But the younger generation are also being made aware of that time in history, and schools here are making sure of that by also marking the day. At Bishop Fitzgerald School, an assembly was held with a display of messages from the pupils. Each pupil stood in front of a wall and read out their message of peace and hope, then attached their respective message onto a memorial on the wall.
The idea was to produce a butterfly. Every child in the school, our 410 children, have created a butterfly with a message that will help them identify themselves with or feel for these children. And butterflies are a symbol of freedom, of release.
Westside School did their part too and put on drama presentations exploring personal responsibilities as human beings in the wake of the Holocaust and other genocides. This included a selection of readings and extracts of performances. Students taking part ranged from years 8 to 13. Candles were also lit and a 1-minute silence was observed.
The focus of this year's event is about how life can go on after the horror and terrors of the persecuted, of events such as the Holocaust and other genocides that are continuing on in our world today, and focusing on the survivors' stories and looking at how we as bystanders and as onlookers, what we can do, what our responsibilities are.
For its part, the environmental safety group claims our allegiance must always be to freedom, always aware of threats to liberty, and never taking our humanity for granted. The equality rights group calls on the community to recall the lessons of history as we enter a period of what may be important change, disruption, and threat to fundamental political and social values.